Hello and welcome to the Mormon Yeshiva. This particular presentation is part of our Astro-theology in the Book of Mormon series. In this case, we're going to be looking at some of the stellar codes of the Book of Mormon. In particular, this presentation has to do with the four royal stars of the Book of Mormon or in the Book of Mormon. Again, please make note of our fair use disclaimer. Everything here is just for educational purposes. In the ancient world, there were four royal stars that basically governed or watched, if you will, the night sky or the zodiac or the Mazzaroth. The first one, of course, being Aldebaran, part of the constellation Taurus, the watcher of the eastern sky, and was associated or connected to the vernal equinox. The second was Regulus, found in the constellation Leo. He was called the watcher of the northern sky and is associated with the summer solstice. Antares was associated with the constellation Scorpio, and was also called the watcher of the western sky and was associated with the autumnal equinox. And of course, Fomalhaut, associated with constellation Pisces Australis, was the watcher of the southern sky and was associated with the winter solstice. In regard to the watcher of the east, it was associated with the star Aldebaran. Now, in some traditions, Aldebaran was associated with the archangel Michael. It marked the vernal equinox about 5,000 years ago. And the star Aldebaran was also called the Eye of Revelation. It was the leader of the stars. Taurus was associated with the divine power of the great architect or God. Aldebaran was also called the star of Buddha and was also called the star of enlightenment. And in ancient Israelite theology, and even tradition, it was Aldebaran in the constellation Taurus. The constellation Taurus was considered the part of the mountain of the Lord's house. There's a lot of deep symbolism connected with the idea of the watcher of the east. Now, in addition to the watcher of the east, there was the watcher of the north. In this case, the star Regulus in Leo, the constellation Leo, associated with the archangel Gabriel. It was the heart of the lion, and it was associated, of course, with the summer solstice. Now, the watcher of the west was associated with the star Antares in the constellation Scorpio. Now, Scorpio was originally, now we see Scorpio as a scorpion, but originally in many traditions, Scorpio was not portrayed as a scorpion, but as an eagle. So Scorpio's heart, the western star, Antares, it was associated in some traditions with the archangel Raphael, and he was associated with the vernal equinox. Actually, that may have been autumnal equinox on this one. I always have to check that one. Anyway, and then of course we have the watcher of the south, Fomalhaut, the constellation Pisces Australis, the archangel Uriel, and was associated with the winter solstice. And those were called the four watcher stars along they portended the various gates of the zodiac. If you looked up in the night sky like the city of Jerusalem, the night sky was a heavenly Jerusalem. And so in looking at the night sky, you had gates, of which the equinox and, of course, the solstice, those particular times were also considered gateways. So in this case, these were the watchers of the gates. Now, what about the Book of Mormon? Well, to many people, there are four messengers depicted in the Book of Mormon as a pattern. And these are the watchers, or these watcher stars, also being depicted in the Book of Mormon. So let's take a look at the first time we see something like this. In this case, Mosiah 7. And it came to, in verse 3, and it came to pass that on the morrow they started to go up, having with them one Ammon, he being a strong and mighty man, and a descendant of Zarahemla, and he was also their leader. And now they knew not their course that they should travel in the wilderness, to go up to the land of Lehi-Nephi. Therefore they wandered many days in the wilderness, even 40 days did they wander. And when they had wandered 40 days, they came to a hill, which was north of the land of Shalom, and there they pitched their tents. And Ammon, notice this, Ammon, number one, took 3, making a total of 4, of his brethren, and their names were Amaleki, Chelim, and Chem. And they went down into the land of Nephi. So, what does this symbolism teach us? In addition to the actual story, we're also being taught an astro-theological picture meant to teach us not only astronomical principles, but ancient teachings associated with the Mazarot. So what about 40 days in the wilderness? Well, in the ancient literature, the mythical heroes were depicted as wandering in the wilderness, suffering often from exhaustion, hunger, and thirst. The wandering in the wilderness is usually reckoned as being 40 days in duration, or we often see these similar epics in the, these scenes or epics in the, like with Moses or Christ being 40 days in the wilderness, which is also the time it was symbolically associated with to ascend and descend the tree of life. In regard to the Mazarot, this is also approximately how long it takes for the sun to move in and out of the sign or constellation Cancer. Now, this pattern of 4 messengers actually occurs quite often in the Book of Mormon, and we read over it and often overlook it. So let's take a look at some of these patterns of 4 messengers. Ammon, Amaleki, Chelim, and Hem, of course, were one of those patterns. Now, there was also another in Alma 2, 4 watchers. In this case, the names change, or the characters change a little bit, but the same pattern is there. In this case, Zeram, Amnor, and Manti, and Lemer. And it came to pass that when Alma could pursue the Amalekites no longer, that he caused that his people should what? Pitch their tents. Okay, pitch the tents. Prophetic marker in Israelite scripture. Pitching their tents. Temple teachings, also astronomical teachings. So in this case, they should pitch their tents in the valley of Gideon. The valley being called after that Gideon, who was slain by the hand of Nahor with the sword. And in this valley, the Nephites did pitch their tents for the night. And Alma, notice, pitched their tents again. And Alma sent spies to follow the remnant of the Amalekites, that he might know of their plans and their plots, whereby he might guard himself against them, that he might preserve his people from being destroyed. And now notice in verse 22 some of the verbiage used here. Now those whom he had sent out to watch the camp. Okay, watchers of the camp, the four watcher stars, were called Wu, Zeram, 1, 2, Amnor, 3, Manti, and 4, Lemer. And these were those who went out with their men to watch the camp of the Amalekites. So in addition to being given a narrative and a story, they've also captioned here astronomical teachings or astro-theological symbolism. But wait, there's more, because this isn't the only pattern. We see the similar pattern with the 4 sons of Mosiah. In Alma 27, notice that it also talks about the 4 sons of Mosiah that were sent down to the land of Nephi, and these were the 4 that converted the people of King Lamoni, who were the Lamanites. And who were they? The 4 of them were the sons of Mosiah, and their names were Ammon, Aaron, Omner, and Hemni. And these were the names of the sons of Mosiah. We also see this same pattern with the sons of Jared. And Jared had 4 sons, and they were called Yakom, Gilgal, Meha, and Ariah. And according to the people were gathered together. And now the number of the sons and daughters of the brother of Jared were 22 souls. Interesting, 22. 22 is the Hebrew or Israelite archetypal universe, where you have, God is of course above them all, 3 mother letters, 7 double letters, and 12 elemental letters, which portend, of course, your zodiac or constellations. And of course, and it came to pass that neither would the sons of Jared become king over them, even all save were 1, and Ariah was appointed to be king over the people. Well, Ariah is also the Hebrew word for lion. So we see a connection here between Ariah and the constellation, of Leo and that particular time of year. So there's a lot of astro-theological symbols being used here in conjunction with their names. So this is just give us another brief look into some of the stellar codes and astrotheological symbols of the Book of Mormon. In this case, the 4 watcher stars of the ancient world, encoded directly into the scriptures. Now, of course, a lot of people have been asking me why, and we are building up to that. But right now, we want to show that these things do exist there, and this is one of the reasons we're laying the foundation of this particular series. So again, I hope you've enjoyed the stellar codes of the Book of Mormon, and thank you for your time tonight.